There it is. So we're going to breathe and breathe and breathe. There will be a little thumbnail of you guys, and that just helps me to see that I'm not frozen. So as you're breathing, we're going to start with our usual checking in to see where you've got easy access to your breath and where maybe you've got more stickiness. And take a second. Maybe it means giving yourself a little wiggle waggle to move some breath around. Big breath in, big breath out. Oh, maybe a little stretch. A little check in here. And big breath in, big breath out. And then whenever you feel ready, you're going to take your hands and bring them behind a thigh. Don't care which one. We're going to do both. Yep. And then you're going to point your toe and straighten your leg a little. Woo, and just feel that hamstring. And then we're going to flex the foot and pull the heel towards the butt. And again, a little point to straighten, a little flex to heel pull. And let's do 2 more like that. Just kind of checking in with how our back body is feeling. And then go ahead and lower that foot down and then take a minute again and maybe breathe, maybe wiggle waggle, little tuck, untuck. Big breath in, big breath out. And then whenever you feel ready, you'll grab behind that other thigh. We're gonna do the same thing. Just a little check. Ooh. That was surprising. A little point. A little flex. Moving through a straight leg and then back into that bent knee. And let's do 2 more like that. Big inhale, big exhale. Good. Big breath in, big breath out. And then let that leg go. And again, maybe a little tuck and untuck, a little wiggle waggle. Big inhale. Woo. Big exhale. All right, whenever you feel ready, I want you to grab your foam rollers. And we're going to put them horizontal on the mat. And then you're going to bring the back of your ribs up against it. Interlace your fingers, bring those elbows in, and let your head weight heavily into your hands. Take a big breath in, big breath out, and nice and slow, we're just going to release through a little bit of extension over the roller and then back. And this doesn't need to be crazy. Like, it doesn't need to be a big like crunch. Little extension. And then pause here, and then this is going to seem weird. I want you to hike your right hip up. So like hike it, kind of shorten through that right side and go over into your extension and then back up and over and back up. And then you're gonna do the opposite. You're gonna hike up that left one. And then you're gonna go over and up and over and up. And then release the hike and let it just sort of land wherever. We're going to do 2 more. A little bit of extension. And back. A little bit of extension. And back. And then keep your head weighted in your hands. Press into your feet. Lift your butt a little bit. And we're going to do a couple of drags. So you're gonna pull your butt towards your feet so the roller moves up into your shoulders. And then you're gonna push into the floor and press your butt away from your feet, and the roller will come down towards your low ribs. You can decide how far you wanna go. Oh, I gotta carry them. So we're gonna do a little pull and a little pull. Big breath in. And big breath out. And we're just gonna do one more from top to bottom, whatever that looks like for you. It might be small, it might be a big range of motion. And then let's meet back where we started with the roller at about the bra line. And we're gonna go over into some extension and back up. And then if you want to play, if the hip hiking was interesting for you, maybe play with that as you take a few more. So for me, I like to hike my right hip. So hiking my left hip and asking for some length on my right side felt really good to me. But it also let me know of some tightness in my glutes and in my quad superficial hip flexors, which is great because we're going to do those too. Ha, ha, ha. Good. Big breath in, big breath out. All right. So now we're just going to rotate the body so that the armpit is right over the roller. And then you could keep hands behind your skull if you want, or you can bring them down. You can do whatever you want. But we're going to think about anchoring down onto the roller. And then it's almost like I'm going to pull myself back energetically so that you feel the back of the skull, the back of the ribs, the back of the sacrum are all pulling back in space. And we're just going to rock a little forward. We're going to rock a little back. But I'm going to keep thinking about kind of pulling my tissues back even as I rock forward. Oh, look, Zoom's giving me a big thumbs up. Fantastic. Big breath in, big breath out. One more. Inhale, exhale. And then you're going to find somewhere in the armpit that's interesting, but workable. And then what we're going to do is, so you can see my ribs are going to drop down towards the mat right now. I'm going to lift my ribs up and the roller is going to roll up a little bit towards my tricep insertion. And then I'm going to push it away and I'm going to take my ribs into a little bit of a side bend. And you, again, you decide how big you want this to be. For me, this is like pretty big range of motion. Yours can be smaller. And for those of you who just joined us, no worries. Class started early and my giant email didn't make it out to everybody. Big breath in, big breath out. But you're here now and that's all that matters. All right, little up, little down. I didn't know how to merge emails and I didn't realize that I screwed it up. So little, so my apologies. Little, but I'm glad you're here. All right, we're gonna do two more. Little up, and a little, oh. And then we're gonna let that go. And we're gonna just do one more little rocky, little forward, little back. Big breath in, big breath out. And then whenever you feel ready, we're gonna move to the other side. You could just roll through. I'm gonna sit up so that way you don't just look at my backside. Ooh, apparently I'll also be in the sun. So again, armpit down. We're gonna think about the back of the skull and the back of the ribs and the back of the sacrum. And I'm gonna almost kind of like pin my tissue and then drag back. So it's pulling my back shoulder tissue this way. And we're gonna do a little bit of this. Little forward, little back, but I'm still kind of tractioning my shoulder tissue behind me. Hello, sun. Big breath in. Big breath out. Make sure your breath is moving you through. One more. Big inhale, big exhale. And then we're going to find somewhere on the armpit that feels interesting but not excruciating. And again, we're going to move the ribs. So if my ribs are already dropped down, I'm gonna lift and pull that roller up towards the backside of my armpit. And then I'm gonna push it away from me and maybe side bend a little bit in the other direction. You can decide, but we wanna get these ribs moving. Little. Oh, big breath in. Big breath out. I probably should make mine a little smaller so that I'm not grimacing my face. Let's do one more pass. Big inhale. Big exhale. All right, we're gonna come back to our thoracic check-in. So we're gonna bring that roller behind us. And so for those of you who didn't get to do this when we first did it, you'll get a chance to do it now because it's my favorite thing in the whole world currently. Hands behind the head, interlace the fingers, bring those elbows in, and we'll do a little over into that extension. Oh my gosh, I have so much more space. And then a little back up. And what's interesting, I find, is that tightness that I was feeling in my hips and in my superficial hip flexors is not as acute. So getting the ribs mobilized can have a really profound consequence for your hips and vice versa. All right, so let's go ahead and let the ribs come to neutral. Pick your butt up. Let's do a couple more drags just because it feels so delicious. We're going to drag the roller up to the tops of the shoulders and drag the roller back down. And you might find that your tolerance for the range of motion has increased. So maybe your range is better or bigger, not better. It's all good. Big breath in, big breath out. Woohoo! One more. Big inhale. And exhale. And whenever you feel ready, we'll go ahead and bring that back to bra line, give or take. And you can grab behind your thighs if you want. Come on up to sit. All right. So whenever you feel ready, we're going to have a lie down on our backs. Keep your roller handy because it's about to go underneath your sacrum. So I'm going to put it between my butt and my heels and then take a bridge and pull it underneath. You might find that you want to hug your knees in and kind of roll and lift up. You can decide what feels best. All are good options. I want you to make sure that this roller is in your sacrum and not in your low back. So it's really on your pelvis. The sacrum is that broad fused triangle shaped bone at the base of your spine. And then you're going to bring your knees into a very relaxed tabletop. Good. And take a big breath in and a big breath out. And we're going to rock the pelvis from right to left. So you're going to rock over towards that right SI joint, over towards the left. And breathe. Big breath in. And big breath out. Big inhale, big exhale. And then just notice what's happening with your shoulders. Do they get real grippy or can you keep them nice and weighted into the floor? Can you keep taking up all of that space in your rib cage that we just rolled out? Maybe just a little bit of it. Big inhale, big exhale. And now I want you to choose a side to go to. It might be that that side feels more interesting. It might be that it feels less. Choose the side that you want to hang out on for a minute here. So you're going to be more weighted into one hip. You might even have the other side elevated. So like my left butt cheek isn't even touching the roller right now. And then we're going to take little circles with our knees. And that's going to just create a little circle around our glute and around that SI joint. And you might want to move a little deeper into the butt tissue and off of the bony part. You can make choices, whatever feels good. I don't want you to feel like you're overdoing something because you're like, it's interesting. So I'm going to bleh. I I want you to keep it easy and gentle. Don't punch your pain in the face, as Kira says. Big breath in, big breath out. Reverse your circle if you haven't already. Big inhale, big exhale. And then when you're done with those circles, just pass back through center and take a couple rocks from right to left again before you go and focus on the other side. And just notice how maybe your axis has changed, how maybe the rotation has changed. Big breath in, big breath out. Keep letting those shoulders be nice and heavy and weighted. And then we'll find a rock over to the other side. And again, little circles. Big breath in, big breath out. Nice and heavy. Big inhale, big exhale, reverse those circles, and we're breathing. Big breath in, big breath out. One more here, inhale, exhale. And then let yourself come back through center. And again, we'll go a little to the right, a little to the left, noticing how things may have changed. One more from side to side. Keep checking in with those shoulders. Big breath in, big breath out. And then keep your left knee in and just lower your right foot to the mat. Ooh, hello. Big breath in, big breath out. So I want you to really press down into the floor with that right foot if you can. I'm getting an epic hamstring cramp. Big inhale, big exhale, press down, press down, press down, press down. And notice if your pelvis rotated away from that right side, and see if you can stay weighted in the right hip while you press down into the floor. So you can see my pelvis wanted to rotate, so I'm going to put that back where I want it, neutral-ish. And big breath in, big breath out. Pressing, pressing, pressing. One more big inhale, big exhale. Release the press, float the right leg up. Inhale, exhale. Lower that left foot down. If you don't have a dog in your way, hold it there and press down through that left side. And then notice as you press down through the left, did your pelvis want to rotate away, and can you even it out? And it doesn't have to be perfect. We're just leaning into a little bit of work. Big breath in, big breath out. One more inhale and exhale. Now, option, you could bring both feet to the ground and take a bridge to lift your pelvis off of the roller, or you can bring both knees in and scooch it out from underneath your tush. Whatever makes you happy inside. And then hug your knees in or extend your legs on the roller like Beth's doing. That's beautiful. Make it feel yummy. And take a big inhale, big exhale. Great. So now the roller is going to stay horizontal on the mat, but we're going to pick our bodies up. I'm going to work around a dog. You are going to lie on your side on the roller. And we're going to make sure that we're not lying on top of the greater trochanter, but we're just above it. The roller is going to take up a lot more space than the balls. And the other nice thing that happens here is that the foam roller will actually help to pull your femur into your hip. So this can feel really, really nice. So we're going to have that the bottom leg, knee a little forward. I'm trying to work around a dog butt here. And then we're going to rotate the pelvis a little bit forward. The roller is going to go more into that TFL and superficial hip flexors. And if that knee is in, then those things are going to be on slack. The further you're into leg extension, the more pulled they're going to be. And so you can decide what is the angle that feels good for you. And we're going to practice rotating. And then just like we did with the shoulder, we're pressing down onto the roller a little bit just because our weight is on the roller, but we're going to try to pull back. So we're pinning the tissue and then we're going to pull back. And there's the stretch, and we're going to rotate into it. So we're going to go a little back, a little forward. You can decide what feels good for you, but we're going to do a little pin and drag. Big inhale, big exhale. And as you rotate forward, you could go a little lower to get into that TFL, because I know, Beth, that's a bugger one for you. Just make sure you're not hanging out on the greater trochanter. Little forward, that big bony thump that comes out of the thigh. Big breath in, big breath out. We're going to do a couple more passes. And as I'm rotating my pelvis, I'm really dragging my butt flesh behind me. So I get that drag. Big breath in, big breath out. And then I want you to find an angle that feels workable, where you can let your weight be heavy and you're supported through your shoulder, and that you can lift that bottom knee up. So that we're doing a little bit of that drag, then we're going to release it back into that slack. Maybe you play a little bit with that rotation. Woo, little lift, little lower. Good. Big breath in, big breath out. Little lift, little lower. Good, you guys. One more big inhale and exhale. Good. And then whenever you feel ready, if you want to, you could just flip to the other side. Again, for camera's sake, I'm gonna come up and around. So as we're situating, right now I'm directly on my greater trochanter. Ow. And so I'm gonna go above it. Oh, good, she moved. And you're gonna come down into that well of the hip, and you're gonna rock a little forward, and you're gonna rock a little back. So we're hitting all of this glute med, but also as you rotate forward, you can get into those superficial hip flexors that are right at the top of that hip crease. And you could go a little further into the leg on that angle, and then backing up. And you're gonna breathe. Big breath in, big breath out. You can also play with the idea of the pin and drag. So pulling your butt like you were gonna slide it back alongside that roller, and that's gonna drag that tissue forward. Big inhale, big exhale. A little rotation, little forward, little back. Big breath in, big breath out. Good. Let's take a couple more passes. And I might suggest moving on, but if you're really happy where you are, stay put. There's no rush. Big breath in, big breath out. And then see if you can find an angle that feels really workable for you, so that there's space to move and breathe. And then you're gonna lift your bottom knee up, and then a little lower. And then you might play with the rotation of the pelvis. So I'm doing it back here, and I'm oh, it's kind of easy. I wonder what would happen if I pin, drag, and then lift. Oh, that's more interesting. And it's doable. Big breath in, big breath out. Just getting a little bit of move on here. Let's do two more. Big inhale, big exhale. Good. And then let that go. Maybe come back to that rock for a minute. Just checking in from front to back. Big breath in, big breath out. Beautiful. Whenever you feel ready, we're going to rotate through to be on our sitting bones. I'm just going to flip around because of the light. And then bring your hands behind you and take some drags just up and down your butt cheeks. So that glute max. It's at that sitting bone. It's going to drag all the way up towards my hip crest and back. You can rotate a little heavier into one side and then the other. Big breath in. Big breath out. And then based on that dragging on each side, just sort of noticing which one is maybe more interesting or feels a little bit tighter. You're going to stay on that side. So for me, it's my right. I'm going to take my right ankle to my left knee in a figure 4. And I want you to keep opening up your shoulders here, right? So we tend to go with that humeral head forward in the socket. I want you to really open those guys up. And then we're going to rock over into that right butt. And I want you to travel down towards that sitting bone and back up a little bit and just see if you can find somewhere that feels a little different than where you were before. And we're going to pull the knee in and then we're going to press it away and pull it in and press it away and pull it in, press it away, pull it in and press it away. And then let it be somewhere between those two extremes and you're going to rock a little deeper into that butt. It's right around those external rotators. A little rock in, a little out. A little rock in, a little out. A little rock in and back. Last one. A little rock. Big inhale. Breathe all the way through your butt. And then let's unwind. And then again, let's do a little check-in. Do the right butt from top to bottom. Do that left one. And take a big breath in, big breath out. And then head over to your other side. So for me, it's my left. I'm gonna take my left ankle to my right knee and then sink over into that butt and kind of head towards the sitting bone, give or take, and see if you can find a little pocket of interestingness. And we're gonna take our hands and pull the knee in and press it away. You also don't have to do this with your hand. You could just pull your knee in towards the midline. This just makes it a little bit more passive. Big breath in, big breath out. Sometimes it's hard to find rotation in this orientation. And then find somewhere in the middle, and we're just going to deepen that rock into that butt cheek and away. And in and out. And breathing. One more big breath in, big breath out. And then we'll come back to center. We'll unwind that. We're going to do another drag from top to bottom. You can go a little to the right and then a little to the left. Or whatever feels good. Again, can't screw it up. Big breath in, big breath out. And then whenever you feel ready, I just have to scooch a little bit because of the room on my mat. We're just going to let the butt drop off of the roller. And now your hamstrings are right up in that roller. And then if I had room to lie down, which I don't entirely, so I'm going to scooch a little bit, we're just going to roll back. And we're going to try to keep that roller right up in the tops of the hamstrings. And we're going to do some light strumming. So we're going to let the knees drop out to the side and widen the legs so that it should pin and drag the hamstrings a little bit. And then I'm going to drop my knees towards the midline and pull my inner thighs together. So we're strumming out and in. And depending on where you have tightness in your hamstrings, you might want to go a little lower and see if you can get a little bit more fleshy drag. Or it might feel really good right at the top of your high hamstring, low glute. Your choice. Big breath in and big breath out. Good, you guys. Let's just do a couple more passes. And then find somewhere that feels interesting. It might be full internal rotation. It might be full external rotation. It might be kind of pulling things together. It might be pulling things apart. But I want you to find a little bit of downward pressure into your roller and take it in whatever direction it was that was calling your name, so that you have a little bit of a pin and a little bit of a drag on the tissue. And then you're going to keep that. So for me, it's a pressing down and then pulling my thighs towards each other a little bit. And then you're going to press down into the roller and straighten your legs a little bit. And then bend a little bit. And press down and extend. So like for me, I can feel it is harder for me to press down into the roller with one of my thigh bones, my right one. And instead I want to rotate my pelvis away. So I'm going to try to keep my pelvis even and press down and then straighten. So it's like we're kind of, we're plowing through some of that tightness as we move through that extension, because we're keeping a little bit of that pin and drag, and we're not letting the pelvis rotate to create length. Big breath in, big breath out. We're just going to do 2 more drags like that. A little pin and reach. Big inhale, big exhale. Good. And then, no big deal, we're just going to move the roller down to the calves. And we're going to do the same thing down here. We're going to go in and out. So we're strumming the calves. Big breath in, big breath out. Good. A little in, a little out. Good. And then again, maybe there's somewhere in there that's interesting. You can kind of anchor down into that tissue. You can pin it and do a little point and a little flex of the foot. And maybe it's circles. And just see if you can kind of get into whatever part of your ankle is chit-chatting. And that might change. It might change from the first circle to the third one. So feel free to move stuff around. Again, kind of keep an eye on the pelvis and just notice, like at the beginning of class, do you want to hike a hip to try to make some of this stuff happen? Or can that stuff stay really relaxed and just work the joint we're trying to work? Big breath in, big breath out, and no judgment. We're just noticing. And then maybe a little bend and straighten of the knee while you press down. And if you feel like you can't get enough pressure down into that roller, you could always take one foot on top of another one and give it a little extra love. So we'll take a few breaths here so that you can do both sides if you want to do that. Big breath in, big breath out. Again, I say keep checking in with your pelvis because I keep fucking up my pelvis, so it might be happening for someone else. Big breath in, big breath out. Little. Ooh. Little bend, little straighten, little point, little flex. You can decide what feels good here. You're going to take a big breath in and a big breath out. And then whenever you feel ready, just let your legs kind of chill out from the movement and just find a little bit of weight into the floor, the back of the skull, the back of the ribs, the back of the sacrum, the back of the calves. Nice and heavy and weighted. And take a big breath in, a big breath out. And then whenever you feel ready, I'm going to say roll onto your side to come up to sit, to come up to stand. You don't have to. You can come up any which way you want. But that would be my recommendation. And then you're going to grab that delightful roller yet again. And we're gonna lie on it from head to tail. So I want your head fully supported. I want your butt fully supported. And you're gonna take a big breath in and a big breath out. Feet planted on the floor. Take a minute to breathe. And you're just gonna drop through one hip a little and drop through the other hip a little. So we're rocking a little to the right and a little to the left. And you just might notice again, oh, look at that. I have lots of space to drop to one side and not so much to the other. And so maybe take a minute on the side that's hard to drop into and see if you can get us a little heavier. And take a big breath in, big breath out. And then bringing that back to center. Float your arms up, fingertips to the sky. And we're just going to take some nice and easy arm circles. Big breath in, big breath out. Let the roller get up between those shoulder blades. So keep the circles really slow so that you can focus on getting weighted around the roller. And then just for shies and guys, notice if one hip is hiking up. Because mine was. Big breath in, big breath out. We're going to do 2 more arm circles. Big inhale, big exhale. And just noticing where your weight wants to transfer on your feet. And then we're going to float those arms up, fingertips to the sky. Let the shoulders weight down and around the roller. Bring the palms of the hands together. Take a big breath in, big breath out. We're going to peel the fingertips apart until we're making a T shape at the wrist. To the best of your ability. If your forearms are tight, that might feel funky. Take a big inhale, big exhale. We're going to separate the base of the palms and reach the arms out to the side until we're making a T shape at the shoulder, almost. And then try to widen and touch either side of your room. Keep your ribs nice and weighted into the floor, the roller. Big breath in, big breath out, and then reverse your fingertips. So the fingertips are going to creep around towards each other. And then you're going to try to grab a big imaginary beach ball right over your face. And then press your fingertips together, press your fingers together, press the base of your palm together. Inhale, exhale. We're going to peel through that one more time. Peel the fingertips away till you're making that T shape at the wrist. Inhale, exhale. Peel the arms away till you're making a T shape at the shoulder. Try to reach wide through either side of the room. Take a big inhale, big exhale. Reverse the fingertips. Grab that giant beach ball over your face. Big breath in, big breath out. Press the fingertips, the fingers, and the base of the palm together. Bend the elbows, bring the thumb to your forehead. Take an inhale, exhale. Again, check in and notice where you're weighting through your feet. If you're tipped over to one side of your roller or heavier in one foot, and see if you can just find a little bit more equality. And then we're going to let the fingertips go over the top of the skull till they're pointing at your mat and you're reaching some length through your elbow points. Take a big inhale here. Exhale, let the base of the palm separate out until you separate through the fingers. You'll bring your arms through goalposts and take a breath here. Breathe back into your roller. And then extend through the elbow. Bring your arms down by your side. Take an inhale, exhale, float the arms back up through center. Bring the palms together. Bend the elbows. Bring the thumbs to your forehead. Inhale, exhale. Fingertips slide over the top of your skull till they're pointing at the mat. Take an inhale, exhale. Base of the palm is going to separate out into goalposts. Big breath in, big breath out. Extend all the way through the elbow and bring your hands down by your tush. Take a big breath in, big breath out. One more. Big inhale, big exhale. Whenever you feel ready, you're just going to plop to one side of your roller and then push the roller out from underneath you. Land yourself flat on your mat. Take a moment here. Maybe do a little tuck and untuck of the pelvis. Maybe a little reach and stretch similar to what we started class with, and feeling how stuff is feeling. Take a big breath in. Take a big breath out. One more big inhale. And exhale. Beautiful. Whenever you feel ready, you're going to roll onto your side to come up to sit. And I would like everybody to grab a pillow or roll up your yoga mat or something that's going to elevate your pelvis. So I'm going to use a bolster. It's going to look like this. Yours doesn't have to be this high. It really can be something kind of small. Could be half the size of this bolster even. Pillow, blanket, otherwise. You're going to take a mermaid kind of Z sit, and you're going to perch just the very, very edge of your butt up. And then you're going to walk your body down. You might want to make a little pillow for your head with the bottom arm. And then once you get down here, you get to decide if this is way too frickin' interesting. And so if your pelvis is higher up on sort of the apex of whatever your prop is, you might want to drop it down to take some of that pressure off. So you can decide. You get to decide what feels good. And then you're going to kind of check in with that back of the skull, the back of the ribs, the back of the sacrum, because we tend to go a little fetal position, knee. So we're going to keep thinking about that back line that we spent all that time rolling out, that we're going to keep looking for expansion in that back body. And then that top leg, if you feel a lot of pull on your kneecap, you're just going to bring your knee in a little bit, or you're going to straighten your leg a little bit. But we're going to shoot for allowing that top thigh bone to move into internal rotation, or let that knee move towards the floor. And that's going to spread your butt cheek apart. And if you want to, you could take your bottom foot and then use that to help anchor that top leg. And you can decide. We're going to just breathe here for a minute. Big breath in. Big breath out. So all that stuff we rolled out in the glute and in the front of the thigh, it is getting to move into some length. And then those ribs are dropping down and around the other side of your prop. We're going to take that top arm and reach it overhead. And take a big breath in and a big breath out. Check in with your jaw. I want your jaw to be really relaxed. Maybe flutter through your lips. Big inhale, big exhale. One more here, inhale. Exhale. And then nice and slow. If you feel like you are not at the end range of your stretch, you're going to let your ribs drop back. So I'm not going to lift my boobs up towards the ceiling. I'm going to think about letting my back body weight towards the floor. oof, and that's really hard for me. I don't have very much range on this side. For my rotation over here is going to be itty freaking bitty. Big breath in, big breath out. It might not even look like rotation to anybody else. So we're thinking about internally rotating the femur and the pelvis, then we're externally rotating the rib cage, open towards the ceiling, weighted down into the floor. Jaw relaxed, forehead relaxed. Big breath in. Big breath out. One more big inhale. And exhale. And then nice and slow, we're going to unrotate the ribs. For whatever that's worth, my rotation was so tiny. And then take the top hand down, so you're releasing that stretch off that side body. Take a big breath in, big breath out. If you're pinning that top leg, let that go. Big breath in, big breath out. And then take your top leg and just slide it on top of the bottom one. And then to come out of this, you're just going to roll forward. So keep your knees tucked in. I want you to keep hip flexion, and you're just going to rotate into a child's pose, give or take. So again, in this hip flexion, a lot of that stuff that was on stretch is now on slack. So we're letting it slack off. We're letting it widen and drop in and breathe. Big breath in, big breath out. One more big breath in and out. And then just bring your hands to your mat, shift your weight forward. And then you could do a couple press backs if that's interesting to you. You could do some cat-cow if that's interesting to you. There's no wrong answer. Kind of check in and see what your body has to say. One more big breath in, big breath out. And then whenever you feel ready, we're going to switch over to the other side. So again, I'm just going to perch my butt at the very, very edge of my prop. The bottom knee's a little forward, top leg's a little back, and I'm going to walk myself over into my psoas stretch. And then again, we're just going to check in to see the back of the skull, the back of the ribs, the back of the sacrum. We're wanting to pull everything back in space as opposed to being forward. We're already really good at forward, right? Like forward head and forward ribs, forward pelvis. Big inhale, big exhale. Again, that top leg, if you feel discomfort in the knee, pull it in a little bit or straighten your leg a little bit. Otherwise, play with how much internal rotation, maybe using the bottom leg as some support, and then breathing those ribs open. Big breath in, big breath out. Go ahead and add in the arm whenever you want, just overhead reach to start. And just feeling like, how is this side different? It feels very different to me. I'm always surprised. Big breath in, big breath out. And then if you want to add on, you're going to play with the rotation of letting your chest rotate back to open to the ceiling a little bit. But we're keeping that intention of weighting back through the back of the skull, the ribs, the sacrum. Big inhale. Big exhale. One more big breath in. Big breath out. And then whenever you feel ready, we'll start just by re-rotating the ribs. Big breath in, big breath out. And then take that top arm, just bring it down by your side. Take off that top stretch. Big breath in, big breath out. And then we'll take that bottom foot off, the knee if it's there. Take a minute there. Let everything get heavy. Big breath in, big breath out. And then nice and slow, we'll take that bottom leg and slide it on top, or sorry, the top leg and slide it on top of the bottom leg. And take a minute, big breath in. And big breath out. And then whenever you feel ready, nice and easy, keep your knees in this hip flexion. Knees are pulled up. Just gonna pull them under you and press back into a child's pose, give or take. Big inhale, big exhale. And then if you want to, you could shift your weight forward onto hands and knees and work through a couple press backs, maybe a little cat-cow. Ooh, see what feels. And then, whenever you feel ready, move your crap out of the way and have a lie down on your back. Get there, however feels good for you. And maybe hug your knees into your chest. Take some little circles. Some little rocks. And whenever you feel ready, you can bring your feet to the mat, heels roughly in line with your sitting bones. And we're going to take a little tuck and untuck. We're going to take a little hike on one side and then the other. And while one side is hiking, the other side is lengthening. And again, just noticing how maybe things have shifted in the last hour. We're continuing to notice like, wow, it's really easy for me to hike on this side and not so much on that side. Big breath in, big breath out. And then let the movement just quiet and find weight through the back of the eyeballs, back of the ribs, shoulders, sacrum, and feet. Take a big breath in. Big breath out. One more. Big inhale. Big exhale.